Good morning everyone, here we are, another day, another video, but today I'm not doing a cover, thank God. Today it's just me again. It's a very busy week in the old Ormson / Fletcher household, so we've had to do our own little videos, which is fine, I'm sure. So what I thought I'd do today, because someone has asked this before, in the lovely emails. Someone sent in a question a long time ago and it was like, what is Ollie's like timeline? Is that the right thing to say? In terms of like professional work or things he's done. Some people might just know me from the start of Addams Family and maybe followed me since then. But Addams wasn't my first job. So I thought I'd do a little timeline. I've downloaded some pictures and the odd video of like press shots and little things, and we'll just chat about my performing timeline. So I'm next to my computer right here with all the pictures I've downloaded. I'll put the pictures in the video so you'll see them big, but I'm looking this way. So first off, number one, Hairspray. So Hairspray, for people who might not know, was actually my like hardest job in terms of how I was treated, is probably safe to say. I felt like, because I was a graduate, I felt like the director, choreographer, a lot of the cast were very much like, what's the word? Just treated me differently. And I think maybe because I was playing Link as a graduate, I don't know, I couldn't tell you. All I could tell you is, if they treated me now the way they treated me back then, like it wouldn't happen. As in like, I wouldn't allow it. I'd be like, whoa, like, do not speak to me that way. And I'd make sure I go through the correct avenues to make sure that bullying, I guess, wouldn't happen. But back then I didn't really know any better. I didn't know the business. I thought maybe this is the way it is and people are just really mean and really cutthroat, which it isn't. People are nice, and you should never ever have to go through what I went through, but it made me a better person, I'm sure. Okay, number two, Copacabana. Look at that picture. Okay, so this was like a semi-professional job. On the picture there was 3 boys at the front. We were like the professional dancers, and everyone else you see are amateur actors. And this job was like amazing, because this was a couple of months after Hairspray, and I just fell out of love with performing, really, because I was thinking, well, professional theatre sucks, like people are mean and just horrible. And I got hired to do this, 2 weeks work, just under £1,000, like really like amazing opportunity. And I was working with people who did it for the love of it, and that is why most of us do it. Most of us professionals is because we started at an amateur level and we loved it so much, and then we carried on to the professional level because we wanted to carry on chasing that feeling. So then to be around people who are like doctors, nurses, teachers, whoever, are there just for the passion. It was like, yes, like this is why I wanted to do it, and it sort of reignited that passion in me, which was really amazing. So I was very lucky, that came at the correct time. Because these guys here, they weren't getting paid. They were just there for the love of it. And yeah, it sort of, I came back. The passion came back. Okay, so after that is the Sopranos versus the Tenors. This was a European tour, mainly around the Netherlands and Belgium. This was a really weird job, as you can probably tell. It was fine. And the people were lovely. It was just challenging, but fun, and I learnt a lot. But yeah, we did like 23 theatres in like a month. It was crazy, like every day different theatre, mainly in Netherlands. And yeah, it was crazy. There was one time when, you know, when you start a show you get like beginners. So say it was a 7:30 show, beginners would be at 25 past. So it gives you 5 sort of minutes to sort of get everything right and make sure you go up on time, which is 7:30. I remember one time, one of the guys who led this company was like, right, let's go, to the band at the back. Was like, come on, let's go, let's play. And we all had handheld mics. And I'm looking down at this, like, in the wings where all the handheld mics are. All the boys had theirs because their little slots were like empty. But there was like 3 or 4 girl mics not there. And the band were about to play the first chord, which we all sort of run on stage and start singing. And I had to be like, no, no, in the wings, like, going, don't play, to the band. And they were like literally about to play. And then the girls like strolled out of like their dressing rooms and came to stage. And they weren't late, it was just the guy said, let's go, before the whole cast were there, which was very interesting. But yeah, interesting job. Yeah, so after that was Guys and Dolls. And that was the same as like the Copacabana one. So it was the same group, same sort of stuff. I couldn't find a picture, unfortunately. But yeah, I loved it there. That was in Burnley, by the way. Yeah, loved it there. Really, really good. So, after Guys and Dolls was Thursford. So this picture was during Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, so that was like during tech, I think, that picture. And Thursford is in Norfolk, and it's the biggest UK Christmas show. It's amazing. It's crazy, crazy, crazy amazing. But it's, for most of us, we all lived in London. So we would like pack up and move to Norfolk for like 3 months, which is in the middle of nowhere. Well, Thursford is, and there's no Wi-Fi, little signal. It's an amazing job, and you have a right laugh. I've talked about it before, but the stage is so big, and it's like 2 shows a day, I think, 12 shows maybe a week, or 10 shows a week. So people get a bit cheeky and do funny things on stage, and because the stage is like 100 foot long, it's huge, and there's like 20 singers, 20 girl dancers, like an orchestra behind them. So at points there might be just short of like 80 people on stage. So you can sort of be a bit cheeky and get away with having little jokes, let's just say. Okay, so after Thursford I did a pantomime in Lichfield, and it was Cinderella. There I am at the front there, giving old Prince Charming. This was amazing, really amazing cast, had a great time. And the creatives were the same creatives for Sleeping Beauty, the pantomime I did like 4 years later. So it all sort of, that's how it connected. That's how I ended up being Prince in Wolverhampton, which we'll get to. What was really nice is that we did press for this pantomime like maybe September, October time, so a couple of months before we actually started rehearsals. And I was in my finals, or like round about my finals for Mormon. And I remember arriving on the first day, and Kate, who was one of the Ugly Sisters, said, oh, did you hear anything from Mormon? Did you get it? No. And I was like, yeah, I got it. So I was really excited. So Cinderella ended on like the 4th of Jan, which was a Sunday. And I started rehearsals for Mormon, my first West End job, on the Monday. So I had to move from Lichfield, all my stuff, and move into a new flat in London and start rehearsals that day on that Monday. So it was really exciting because I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. But yeah, a really like crazy couple of hours. A crazy 48 hours, sorry. So that was that. Right, then after that, as we mentioned, is the Book of Mormon. I picked a different picture rather than the normal sort of white shirt, black tie. This was one of my covers that I never really got on for. I think I did in 2 years, I think I did like 4 to 10 maybe performances. That picture is Elder Price's mum in the airport. Yeah, so this was my first West End job, my first sort of taste of like the big time, I guess. And I felt like it was always going to happen. It just took longer, I guess. So by now I would have graduated for like 3 years. So this was 2015 and I graduated 2012. I auditioned for Mormon on 3 separate occasions, 2012, 13 and 14. So I got it in 2014. I always knew that I was good for it. I always knew that I could sing it. I looked right for it. In 2014, before Cinderella Panto, I was like, I'm gonna get Mormon this year. I was so determined to get it, and I got it. 3rd time lucky. I was there for 2 years, covered Price, did 60 Price shows, because I was a swing as well, and I covered Joseph Smith in my 2nd year, so I covered 9 parts in total. did 7 of the 9. There was 2 I didn't do, but I wasn't that bothered really at the end. Wasn't really that bothered. And so yeah, that is the Book of Mormon. So after that, actually, I forgot something, and that is in the 2nd year of Mormon, I did a little BBC documentary of West Side Story. This was a really interesting project because we had to learn most of the material, because we didn't do the whole version. We didn't do like every bit of West Side Story, but we did like the main parts. And we had like maybe a day to record all the harmonies and all that sort of stuff. So that was like on a Thursday, and then the next Thursday we were recording live at Maiden Vale Studios with a 40-piece orchestra. So our MD, Gareth Valentine, a wonderful MD, he said, listen, we don't have enough time. You know, we've not been scheduled enough time to learn this well enough. However, if you go away and practice your harmonies and practice everything, next week will be amazing, because you won't be worrying about like your harmonies. So we all went away, had a week to sort of learn the whole score by ourselves, because we've recorded the harmonies by then. And yeah, and we recorded it the next Thursday. You probably can recognise most people in the cast, silly cast, amazing cast. Rob Houchin as Tony was like ridiculous. Oh yeah, and this week as well, I was on for Elder Price. So I did a week prior, and then this week I was on again. And it was a 9-show week as well. So I did a 9-show week as Elder Price in the West End and filmed this during Thursday. It was a busy week, but I survived. It was fun. Yeah, so West Side Story. What's next? You all know. The Addams Family. So this was in 2017. I finished my 2 years at Mormon. I said I'm not staying on. I want to go and do other things. Play parts was a big thing for me because I covered Price for 2 years, and I felt like I could step up. I felt like I didn't have to be the cover anymore. I felt like I was good enough. So I got this audition in October of 2016, there you go. And yeah, I did like 3 or 4 rounds, I met Carrie in the final. We sort of read and sang together. And yeah, this happened 6 weeks after I finished Mormon in 2017, January. So I had 6 weeks off, and then rehearsals was in March. And yeah, as they say, the rest is history. So, Addams Family, that happened, and that was 9 months of like touring, which was fun. It was my first tour, which is hard. Weekly touring is hard. We did it in weeks, which is hard. Most like big productions, like the Cameron McIntosh productions, they normally do it like maybe 4 to 8 weeks in one venue, which is, I'd love that. That'd be so much more fun. Doing weekly touring is hard because you've got a travel day, which say for example is a Sunday, then you've got your day off on a Monday, so then you've got Tuesday, you're back in the theatre. So Tuesday till Saturday, you're in the theatre, because you've got to do a get-in, you got to do 8 shows in 5 days, and some of the travel days as well are like from, I don't know, Edinburgh to Plymouth. It can be that bad, so you're just living out of a suitcase if it's like weekly touring. If I toured again, which I probably will do one day, fingers crossed it's longer than a week in each venue. Okay, so after that, this is when I started planting seeds for the future. So in 2018, I met this guy. This guy is called Glenn Ballard, or Ballard, depending on how you say it. He's an absolute genius. He wrote the music for Back to the Future, the musical, and this picture is the first workshop that we did in 2018 at the Dominion Theatre. We did 2 weeks, and we did a big show at the end, like a sort of presentation of like, maybe Back to the Future the musical will work. People who are above my pay grade were there just to watch a glimpse of something that might happen. So this was around about August time. Yeah, and that was sort of where I planted the seeds for what would happen years later. So that was a workshop. We also did another workshop a couple of months down the line, which was not as big, but it was more about like refining the music. So that was like November time. So there was like 2 or 3 months between workshop number 1 and workshop number 2, which I was part of both. And which is really like, sometimes a bit like, is that some people don't get asked back to do the workshop because they're sort of refining their vision of the show as well. So luckily I always got asked back because obviously I fit the vision that they had for the show, but some people didn't, and it was a bit like, ooh. Glad it's not me that makes those decisions. So after that is Sleeping Beauty. So this was from press night with the lovely Debbie McGee and many more. So this was what I was saying before, is that my first panto at Cinderella, these are the same people who did that show. So again, it was sort of like planting seeds from years gone by. I remember Adrian Jackson, who is the artistic director at the Wolverhampton Grand Theatre, saying to me during Addams Family, so 2017, because we went to Wolverhampton, and he said, hey, next year, 2018, we want a Prince, would you be free to do it? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to, if I'm free, obviously. And yeah, that happened years later. Didn't audition, just, yeah, offered the role. So yeah, really cool. Met some wonderful people, wonderful cast. Just so much fun. Just really, really fun. Okay, so after that, Back to the Future Workshop 3. This is the picture I have for it. It's a selfie of me in a mic. And I think I might have uploaded this to Instagram, but I couldn't say what I was doing. So this is Back to the Future Workshop 3. This was at Sadler's Wells in London. So now everything was ramped up. It was like, okay, so last year's workshop went really well. Investors are keen. The idea seems to be working. The music was like more refined now. They went away and worked on little like clunky bits that they had to work out. And this was more, it's still a workshop, but more performance based. And we did it at Sadler's Wells in front of maybe about 100 people. And the producers invited like the Back to the Future fan club, and they sat front row with like their Back to the Future t-shirts on, which I thought was a genius idea from our producer Colin. He wanted their ideas, or if they were like, that doesn't really work, or that's against the movie or whatever. He just wanted opinions, and he wanted it to be right. But obviously it was going to be right, or like the movie, or just as good, or whatever, because we had like Bob Gale in the room. That's when we all met Robert Zemeckis for the first time, and his lovely wife. They came over to see it. So yeah, it was just like, what is going on here? I think round about now is when I knew, one, it was going to happen, Back to the Future was going to happen, and how big it was going to be, and how good. Yeah, really, really exciting. Really exciting. Yeah, I loved it. And I just love the team. I just love the team so much. Yeah, we'll talk more about Back to the Future later on. Okay, so after that was this one, Cinderella Workshop. So this was in May 2019, wow. So I was playing Dorian, one of the hunks. This again was like being part of something that was going to be really, really good. Obviously my lovely Carrie was Cinderella, and yeah, she like shone like a star that she is. And yeah, this is again really, really exciting. Really looking forward to seeing the final product, because I unfortunately can't be obviously a part of it because I've got my own little things going on. So when I watch it next year, I can't wait. I can't wait, because again, I was there for the first workshop, and I know how things can change like drastically for the better, you know. So yeah, really looking forward to this. And look at that cast. The cast are ridiculous. That again was something really fun, because we were doing it at the Other Palace in London, which Andrew Lloyd Webber owns, and this was a workshop, but it was like full out. Like we had a band of like maybe 7 people. It was like an orchestra in like the Other Palace, with a conductor with cameras around so we could see him. We had costumes for certain bits. It was like a workshop hyped up, because I think Andrew just wanted it to be right. And the audience as well, like the people in the audience at those workshops. I think we did like 3 or 4 maybe workshops. You'd come on stage at night and look out, if you were acting or whatever, and you look out and you'd see like famous face, famous face, famous face. It was yeah, very surreal. Yeah, a little cheeky thing as well. Someone realised there was a little tab behind the bar, so everyone was like, "Can I have a coffee? Can you put it on the tab?" So Andrew might have finished the workshop and ran up a bit of a tab, but I'm sure he's fine. There was a lot of coffees drank. So thanks, Andrew. Okay, so then after that, Cats. Cats was amazing. It was such a like treat. The talent in the cast were just ridiculous. Everyone was so good. And this was another one actually where I met the director slash choreographer, Nick Winston, doing a workshop at the Other Palace, which I've not featured in this little list, but and Nick directed it as a workshop. You had 12 hours to learn like a 45-minute segment or like a 45-minute condensed version of the musical, which Nick directed, and me and Nick got on really well, and he sort of liked my vibe, I liked his vibe, and then this audition came round. My agent called and said, hey listen, like they want to see you for Cats at Kilworth House. Nick Winston's director and choreographer, are you interested? And as soon as my agent was like, it's Nick Winston, I was like, yes please, because I've never worked with Nick properly before, and the 12 hours we had early on that year, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I was eager to work with him again. So my audition for this was the night after What's on Stage Awards, which Carrie and I went to, because Carrie won. I can't remember which one it was. And we went out and had a couple of drinks to celebrate. And I woke up the next morning going, oh God, maybe I drank a bit too many beersies, but I'll be fine. And it was a dance audition. And if people know anything about Nick Winston, his dance auditions are full out. His choreography's full out. And I've not been to a dance call for a long time. So it was a shock to the system, but I survived. I made the cut, and I felt then it was probably nice to go over to Nick and say, hey, how are you doing? Because I didn't want to do it before the dance round. So I got kept, so I was like, right, I'll go over now. So I said hello, and he said, yeah, you know, I can see you as a tugger. Come tomorrow, sing something Tugger might sing, and we'll go from there. So I felt from there it was sort of like in my hands, and yeah. So flash forward 48 hours, the job was mine. I was Ron from Tugger, loved it. What a cat as well. It's my favourite cat, I think, because you can have a lot of fun. And every time you come on stage, it feels like people think something fun's gonna happen. So yeah, I loved it. And the costume as well, ridiculous. Okay, so then after that was High Fidelity. Here's a little video of our last night someone filmed the bows, or like us just jamming. Here it is. Yeah, so High Fidelity, what a show. This was offered to me, I didn't audition during Cats actually. I read the script and knew how big the part of Rob Gordon was, but it's only when you start doing it you really realise. This was amazing though. I had the best time. I'd love to do it again. Like, oh my God, if we could do it again, I'd do it, hands down. One of the most talented cast and like crew and band and all that sort of stuff I've ever worked with. Every one of those casts were like ridiculous. You're working with people and you're like, you are amazing, and they sort of lifted me up and yeah, supported me when I needed it. Because it was easily the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've said it on record somewhere, so I'll say it again. I don't think I'll ever do a harder part. Honestly, like, because of the conditions we were in. It was like the first musical at the Turbine, so we had speed bumps there, and I can't think of a male part in musical theatre which is as hard. But I feel very blessed to have done it, and I would love to do it again. Yeah, so amazing. What a show. And then finally, full circle, 2 years later, Back to the Future, Manchester. Like, what a journey. I felt very lucky to be a part of it. From the original workshop, there were like, mainly all the leads were there, which was good. They sort of nailed their part so well in the first workshop. They were like, you're not going anywhere, we need you. Roger Barter's Doc was always going to be Doc because he was so good, and Hugh Coles, Ollie Dobson, Rosie Highland, like all of them, so good. And me and Will Haswell were like the others who sort of stuck by from the first workshop, and it was amazing to be a part of something for so long, and I feel so very grateful because it was such an experience to see where it came from 2 years prior to where it is now. Is ridiculous. It's so good, and every one of those creatives as well, the director, the choreographer, the associates, the music department, Bob Gale on the book, like, it's just ridiculous. I feel very, very lucky. So thanks for letting me be a part. Obviously I can't be a part of the West End leg when it happens, but I'll be cheering from afar. I can't wait, because there'll be days where I'm off and they'll be doing a show in London, and I'm going to be there. Maybe not all the time, but I'll be definitely there cheering the guys on. Love that show, so make sure you see it. And that's it, really. That's most of my stuff, most of my timeline. I do hope you've enjoyed this video, and here's to the next productions, the future. All things Frozen. Right, bye everyone. Thanks for popping by. Be safe out there. Don't what? Don't forget to say please and thank you.